So it never fails. Every spring, I'll get a call from someone saying that they just tried to get their mower started for their first spring cut, and of course, it won't start, even though I told them how they can take a few simple steps so they don't have to deal with this issue each and every year, but they just won't listen. So is it really that difficult to take care of a simple lawnmower, trimmer, or blower, or is it that they don't understand how these machines work? In today's video, we look at this Craftsman lawnmower and the issue is that it won't start. Now, I've already fixed this lawnmower, and if you want to see that video, there should be a link to it at the top of the screen or at the end of the video. And I'm just going to use the video as a background while I talk about dealing with repeat customers who keep having the same issues year after year with the same piece of equipment. Now, it might seem like I care too much and that I might be a bit fanatical, or it could be my OCD talking, but in my eyes, I'm just trying to avoid the hassles of trying to fix stuff. Now, I might get paid a few bucks for fixing someone else's stuff, but no one's paying me to fix my own stuff. Just as a reminder, when you get a new piece of equipment, always remember to look up the owner's manual online and at least glance at it to make sure it doesn't say something you didn't already know. In the rest of the video, I'm going to tell you about a couple of interactions I've had with repeat customers who for some reason keep making the same mistakes year after year. The worst part is that I've called them and reminded them to do some basic maintenance, and they always say they will, but I'm sure you know the rest of the story. The first story I want to tell you is about one of my coworkers who I've worked with for a very long time. The first time I did any work for them was on a Troy-built mower. Now, I thought it was going to be a fairly easy repair, which it was. It turns out the fuel jet was clogged, and after a quick cleaning, I got it running again. Now, while I had it, I of course cleaned the mower, sharpened the blade, and changed the oil. I then gave it back to them, and they couldn't have been any happier, but I'm pretty sure you know what happened about the same time a year later. I then got a call from them while I was at home, and they said they just got their mower out of the shed and it wouldn't start. I then asked them a few basic questions, and this is how the interaction went. Did you remember to run the mower until it stopped last season?
That was a couple of months ago, so I don't recall if I did or if one of my kids did.
Did you check to see if the gas tank was empty before adding more gas to it?
I didn't check, I just figured it was empty, so I put more into it until the tank was full.
I then asked them to put about a teaspoon of gasoline into the carb's throat and try starting it, but all it did was start and then stop. I then asked them to bring it to work the next day or as soon as possible, and I'd take it home and fix it, and if you hadn't guessed it, the fuel jet was clogged yet again, which meant they most certainly did not run the engine until it stopped. So what's so wrong with leaving gasoline in your mower for several months through the winter? Well, on some models, the opening in the jet is so tiny that leaving gasoline, especially with ethanol in it, can cause the opening to get clogged. I then reminded them of this very reason, but I don't think they understood the reasoning because it happened yet again the following year. So I had to wonder, why didn't they understand what I was telling them? The only thing I could guess is because they don't see the issue I'm talking about, because they're not the ones who's fixing it. I then asked them why it was so difficult to remember to run the mower out of fuel at the end of the year, and they basically tell me that they would forget, which is a valid answer, but it's what they said next that shocked me. While I had them on the witness stand, I also mentioned that they didn't ever clean their mowers on top of the mowing deck or underneath it. I then mentioned that the oil was always dirty and that the blade was always in rough shape. They said,
"Well, you always take care of all that stuff every time I bring it to you when it doesn't start in the spring."
At which point I realized I was the one who was enabling them to neglect their mower, which is something I never really thought about. Now, I always thought myself as a fairly bright person, but in this situation, turns out they outsmarted me. I've now resigned myself to doing their yearly maintenance for them of clearing the fuel jet, changing the oil, cleaning the deck, and sharpening the blade, except this time I charge them a fair price for my time, which they don't seem to have a problem paying. I don't think I'm ever going to get them to change, so I've stopped trying and let the chips fall where they may. That reminds me, I should be hearing from them pretty soon. Unfortunately, the next situation didn't end up quite that well. This was with yet another one of my coworkers. If you're unaware, I work at a massive company that has well over 700 employees on the day shift alone, and that's at just one of the divisions. Now, this coworker I didn't know quite as well as the last one, so I was unaware of their personality. Now, I don't care what kind of personality you have, but if it's going to get in the way of doing business, I think you'll find that I've become very unavailable. The first job I did for them was with some fairly cheap trimmers that they had, which wasn't a big deal. Now, they looked to have been very neglected, as though they'd been in a shed for a couple of years. They needed a full workup with the fuel lines, carbs, and filters. Now, I tested them for a couple of days and then gave them back to them. I never really asked about them again, and I typically wait for them to come to me if they have any issues. Now, this time, it didn't take 1 year, but it took 2 years before they mentioned them again. I had assumed that since I didn't hear anything about them after the first year, everything was good. Man, was I wrong. This time, they brought them to work without letting me know ahead of time, and on that particular day, I drove the wrong car to work, so that meant I had to cram them into my tiny car, which is always fun to do. When I got them home, I took them out and got a good look at them, and I was just amazed at their condition. Now, they weren't as bad as the first time I saw them, but they were in rough shape. The bulbs were very discolored, the fuel lines were beginning to harden, and the metering diaphragms inside the carbs were beginning to show signs of hardening as well. This would point to the use of ethanol gasoline and prolonged exposure. Basically, they left ethanol gasoline in the tank and lines for well over 2 years, if I had to guess. Now, typically, I recommend running string trimmers out of fuel before storage, especially if you use ethanol fuel to avoid this type of damage, but it would seem like they were heading down the same path again, and despite the information I gave them about what kind of care you need to give them, it still happened again. At this point, no matter what I said, unless they had a personal stake in it, they weren't going to care and continue treating them the same way every time. Now, this was kind of sobering to admit to myself, but then again, we're just people and not robots. The next person I had to deal with is yet another one of my coworkers that I see every day face to face and is key in the work that I do. You'd think that seeing me every day would be enough to try a bit harder to remember the things that I've told them, but if you'd guessed it, it didn't help out. They had given me a leaf blower to fix, and of course I went through it like I normally do, and everything seemed to be working just fine until the next year, and I don't think I have to tell you what happened next. Yet again, when spring came around, they tried to use their leaf blower to clear some of the leaves around the house that were still hanging around from last fall, and of course, it wouldn't start. So I asked them my standard questions, and they gave me their standard answers. The next day, I got their blower, and of course, it would seem that they had left ethanol fuel in the blower, and it started to deform the diaphragm in the carb. Now, I was able to make some adjustments to the carb to get it working again, which they seemed to be okay with. Now, at this point, I've stopped making recommendations to my customers, and the reason is fairly simple. It's not that I don't care, it just feels like they can't change their programming. If the fix wasn't so convenient, they might try to remember, but since they have me to remember for them or fix it for them year after year, they're okay with it. So what if I charge them an arm and a leg for the service? Do you think that would get them to change their mind? Nope, they just take it to someplace cheaper. So am I just totally giving up giving advice and just working on fixing the items that my customers don't want to take care of anymore? Well, it would certainly seem that way, but I've merely made it less convenient for them. I'll typically keep their equipment for a little bit longer than usual, mostly to check on cold starts, but also to test them out a bit more thoroughly than usual. Now, this takes away some of the convenience out of the service, and at the same time helps me to better guarantee the work that I do. But has it really helped out? Not really. If they didn't really care about taking care of their equipment, then another few days without it while it's being fixed isn't going to bother them at all. However, it gives me the time I need to fix it and not worry about their productivity when it comes to doing yard work, so in the end, it kind of works out for both parties. So do I do this with everyone? Not at all. Only to those who have a relaxed take on maintenance. That allows me to take the same approach to fixing them. But what about those who do care? Well, that's pretty easy. I'll take the other approach where I try to give them prompt service. I do have some customers that are really good about taking care of their equipment, and sometimes they just have bad luck, and it's not always to do with maintenance. So has this style of service hurt my customers? Not really. Most don't seem to notice the change, and the ones that ask about when they can get their stuff back soon seem to be okay with the answers I've given them. But what if they don't like the answer? Easy, they can take it to someone else, but don't expect them to be any quicker about it either. Remember, this is a hobby or something that gives you a relaxing escape from a stressful job where you have an immediate boss and then several other bosses that you might see or might not see. When you're doing this job, you're the boss and you get to set the rules, so don't make your job any harder than it needs to be, otherwise you could burn yourself out and lose interest. But what about the customers? Aren't they going to set the terms or the rules? Not really. They're the customers and you're the one providing the service as an independent contractor. They can't tell you when to show up for work and tell you how to do your job. This has to be an agreement between you and them. If you can't make a decision based on their terms, then the job isn't going to happen. As for the customers not doing what they need to do to try and avoid needing to use your services, that's an issue they'll need to deal with. But after that, once they can't get it started or it's not working the way it's supposed to, then it's your turn to care about it. Don't worry, you should be able to very quickly find out who really cares about their stuff and who doesn't. As far as the customers I've told you about so far, all of them still treat their equipment the same way as before. They still use ethanol gasoline, they still leave fuel in them every winter, and I still work on them every spring. At this point, I've just gotten used to it. They'll walk up to me or call me over, I'll ask them, what can I help you with? And then they'll say,
Hey, remember that blower you worked on last year? Well, it's doing the same thing again.
I'll then say, when can you bring it in? And if they ask when they can get it back, I'll typically tell them as soon as I'm done with it. Now, so far, it doesn't look like I've lost any of them as customers, and I don't see why I would, but if they should find someone who's more convenient to work with, I would hope that they would tell me. That way I can send them all of my most demanding customers. So if you consider trying to do this kind of hobby to make some extra money, I would most certainly urge you to try it out, even for a short time, and see how it goes. Just be aware that you're going to have some repeat customers that just don't care, and no matter how much you try, it's doubtful you'll ever get them to change their ways. So is there a way to get them to change? Not really. You can always show them how to repair their equipment, and even if they could do it successfully, without them grasping the understanding of why things happen because of their actions, I doubt it's going to work. So my question is, have you ever had to deal with stubborn customers like I have? They'll do things that cause terrible things to happen, and when you give them advice to help them avoid the problem, they're still going to do it anyway, over and over again. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate your time here. Please feel free to ask me any questions about this project or about your own projects, and I hope to see you in the next video.